Let's dive into today. We are in Exodus, chapter 3 and 4, as you guys should have read. And this is Moses in the burning bush. It's kind of what we're going to focus on for a little bit. And whenever I read this passage, it reminds me of a story when I was a kid. And it also has to deal with fire. And I feel like I have too many stories that start with, we were bored after the 4th of July. So we have all these leftover fireworks, and we are bored. And I was probably 10 years old, and on my street was a cul-de-sac, and we had tons of kids around my age, a little bit older. I was on the younger side, but our parents worked, and just no parent supervision at all. And it was a great childhood. And there was one time we were about 10, and we loved the 4th of July, and we had so much leftover fireworks, we get bored. So we had these parachutes, those parachutes, you light them, go up, parachute, and then you try to catch them. We had tons of those left over, and we were bored. And my friend who lived at the end of the cul-de-sac, his backyard backed up to a field. It was a hay field, they'd bale it, whatever. So they already baled all the hay, so it's kind of short. So we're like, let's light off these parachutes. We light them up, sparks, boom. Same old, we've done a million times. But then when the parachute's in the air, it doesn't look quite right. And next thing we know, the parachute is on fire. Okay, we can handle that, no big deal. Parachute lands. One of my friends has a full cup of water, a foot away, and he tries to throw it on the water, and he misses the water, and the fire starts to spread rather quickly. And so you have 10, 11, 12-year-olds sprinting back and forth into this house, out the house, through the backyard, into the field, with cups of water, trying to put out this fire. And what you can imagine is that this fire spread and our measly cups of waters did absolutely nothing. And soon enough, we gave up and we just watched this field engulf in flames. And none of us called 911. No, none of us had the awareness. Maybe we should get some help for this. The older sister that was home also didn't call 911. I think eventually a neighbor did, and the police came, and fire department came, and then the parents came home, and she got out her measly garden hose trying to help the firefighters stop this flame, which was quite the sight to see. But there's a moment where I remember as a 10-year-old kid just standing there, watching this field catch on fire and just be in awe of it. Of just, like, it. I don't know if you've been in front of, like, a massive, like, flame, not like a campfire, but a fire, and you just are it's a hypnotizing sensation of this thing is mass chaos. It is mass power, it's mass damage. And we see Moses come into a very certain situation where it's similar. So in Exodus 1, we get the story of the Israelites are still oppressed, and then in Exodus 2, we see this, where we see the birth of Moses, that he's taken into the Egyptian royalty, and then he then kills an Egyptian man that was beating up on a Hebrew, and he goes away. And we see this at the beginning of chapter 3. Now, Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And here's what we need to see. We're going to come into 3 different ways Moses limits himself in his calling with God. We are going to come into different ways Moses steps back and doesn't fully embrace his calling that God has on his life. In the first, we see that dwelling on the past is limiting. Dwelling on the past is limiting to our calling with God. That what we see Moses do is that he ran away and he was stuck in the past. And there's many reasons. And I think for Moses, what we see is that Moses is engulfed in the shame of his life. Engulfed in the shame of his sin. That after he killed that Egyptian that was beating up on the Hebrew, the next day he goes up and he sees 2 Hebrews and they say, what, are you going to kill us like you killed the Egyptian? And he flees. Moses is shamed. He can't bear anyone to see him. So what does he do? He goes away. He goes away, and it's the shame of his sin that keeps him in the past. That keeps him dwelling on the past is what is limiting him. But I think for us there can be many many other things that leads us to be stuck and dwelling in our past and unable to move forward in the life that God has for us. Like we said, we see shame, but I also think there's regret, which is very similar. That we have such a desire to change our path, that we have such a desire to go back and do it differently, that we end up being stuck there. But the reality is we can't do that. The reality is that we don't have a time machine where we can go back in time and change all our mistakes and make everything right. No, that's not what we have. What we have to do when it comes to our regret is to let it go and move forward, because we don't have a time machine. Our desire to change the past can leave us there, but that is impossible. I also think anger can leave us in the past. That we become so angry about what happened to us or what we did or how other people treated us that we end up being stuck there. That we use this as motivation, which it's not. Motivation drives us to further excellence, but what this does when our motivation is anger, this motivation that pushes us forward only leaves you going the reverse direction. That I'm going to prove them wrong for what they did. I'm going to be better. I can't believe how they treated me. That is what I'm going to use to move forward, ends thus leaving us in the past, because everything that pushes us there, everything is our goals are in the past. Our so-called motivation of anger that moves us forward actually leaves us stuck in reverse. And then sometimes I think sadness, that we haven't healed from past wounds, that the way things went down, that this wound has not been healed, and we may feel like since our neglect, we don't think about it, but one trigger and we're back in the past. I think sadness and the failing to heal from past wounds will leave us stuck in the past with one trigger. We must continue to move forward. We must continue to move forward as a people, whether it's through our shame, our regrets, our anger, our sadness. All these emotions, all these things that want to keep us in the past, we must let go of and move forward. Because if we don't, we see what Moses does too. He isolates himself, and isolation is limiting as well. Isolation is limiting. That what these emotions want to do is they want to draw you away from people. They want to draw you away from the kingdom and the community of God. It wants us to draw us away from everything we are meant to be in and leave us alone. Isolation is limiting. To be at our full capacity, we must be with others. There's a quote by a pastor in New York named John Tyson, and I use it all the time, and I use it for many different circumstances, but for this instance, it fits as well. If Christianity wants to be defined by love, and if we want to reach our full capacity with love, and our full capacity to love and to be loved, love requires others. It is impossible for us to reach our full capacity of love, to love and to be loved, if we are not with others. And what these feelings of shame, regret, anger, and sadness want to do is remove us from people so we cannot reach our full capacity for love in any aspect of the world. Isolation is very limiting. And so what we see here is Moses is isolated and he's stuck in the past. And he's shepherding this flocks, and he comes to this mountain and he sees this burning bush and he steps inside of it. And God's saying, hey, I see the suffering of the people. I hear your cries. What I'm telling you now is to go. What I'm telling you now is to go. But what Moses does is he makes excuses. Because what we see here in chapter 4, verse 10, Moses said to the Lord, pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past, nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. He's making excuses. The excuses are limiting. Because what God has, and I think this passage is actually really, really funny, that God is equipping Moses. Because Moses goes, hey, what if they don't believe me? What if they don't believe me? I'm just a guy. He goes, no, you know what? Throw your staff on the ground. Moses throws his staff on the ground. It becomes a snake. That's wild. He equips him. Hey, they're going to believe you. I don't know, God. I don't know. All right, reach your hand in your cloak. He reaches his hand in his cloak. Pulls it out. His hand has leprosy or a skin disease. If you want to look at the Hebrew, it's just a skin disease. He puts it back in and he's healed. God is giving him the sources. Hey, use me. I will equip you. You don't have to worry. I don't know, God. What if they don't believe me? I can't really speak real well. I stutter. I'm not the best. God, I don't know if I'm the right guy. God, again, hey, go get water from the Nile. I'll make it blood. God, I don't know. I don't know, God. I think you have the wrong guy. I'm not the best speaker. Our excuses are limited. And I think that our limitations and us limiting us is a very comfortable reality that we don't want to admit. Because when we fully embrace our limitations, and that is what we express to the world, what we actually say is, I don't have to make any more mistakes. I don't got to go back to the past. I don't got to relive those. I don't got to move forward. There's no shot I can make any more mistakes. Or you know what? I don't got to be in any uncomfortable situations. I don't got to step out. I don't got to be in any new situation I don't want to be. I'm just going to stay here in my own little bubble. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to limit myself. Or you know what? I don't have to do anything. Why? Because I can't do it. God, you got the wrong guy, so I'm just going to chill back here, and I'm going to limit myself, and I'm going to make these excuses for what I'm not doing it. And you know what? I don't got to do anything I don't want to do. I don't got to make any more mistakes. I don't got to be in any uncomfortable situations. I don't have to do anything because I'm going to limit myself, because I'm going to be stuck in the past. Because I'm going to isolate myself from everyone, and because I'm going to make excuses. It's very easy for us to fall back on, I'm a bad guy. I'm a bad girl. You know what? I can't do it. I'm not the right guy. God, look at me. I'm the worst. It's so easy. No, but we need to embrace the transformation God has for us. Because God works in your time of doubt. He works in your time of isolation. He works in your times of suffering. His love and preparation is with us to the end. Because here's what I find amazing. When Moses is stuck in the past, when Moses is isolating himself, when Moses is making excuses, what job is he doing? He's a shepherd. What is a better job for Moses to be in the time of preparation when he is going to shepherd his people out of Egypt? When he is going to shepherd his people in the wilderness, what better job could Moses have for preparation? God's preparation and love for us is with no end, and we cannot run away from it. What an amazing thing. Moses was a shepherd. God was preparing him for this job. Because spoiler alert, they got out of Egypt. And they were in the wilderness, and Moses was the one that took care of them and guided them in the wilderness and shepherded them just as he is shepherding his flocks in these very passages. God prepares us in times of doubt. But we want to stick to our limitations. Because here's the thing, though. Our calling goes beyond all limitations. And our calling goes beyond our limitations. Because here's what I find interesting, too. Moses is making all these excuses while he is inside the burning bush. Because if you would have told that 10-year-old kid burning his field down, if that flame would have started talking to you, that is a wild picture that I still can't imagine. And that is what Moses is in, and he continues to make excuses. He is unwilling to embrace the transformation God is calling him into. He wants to be comfortable in his limitations. He can't fully recognize and appreciate the miraculous work of God in his life because he's too focused on himself. He's too focused on who he is and what he can't do instead of what God can and will do. He can't fully recognize and appreciate the miraculous work of God. And you cannot fully recognize and appreciate the miraculous work of God if you're too busy focused on yourself. It's a cliche quote, but it's true every single time. God equips the call, and he does not call the equipped. And again, I'll probably use that saying again, but it's so true in this passage. He does not call the equipped, he equips the called. And we are all called in some sort of another to step out of what once was. To step out of the shame, regret, anger, the sadness, because these are the lies of the enemy that wants us to stop moving forward. We don't want to step out of those. Step out of our anger. I don't want to let that go. That's what drives me. I don't want to let go of the shame because, you know what, it keeps me here and I can't bear to see anyone. I can't bear to have anyone see me. Regret. I'm going to live. I can't do anything. I can't move forward. But we need to step out of our past. We must step out of our past. We must step out of our loneliness. We must step out of our isolation that keeps us from fully walking in our capacity of love, to be loved, and to love. All the excuses, all the negative self-talk that I can't do, that all the excuses that you're not good enough, we must step out of it. We must step out of what was. Oof, that was a rough sentence. We must step out of what once was. Because there's so much more. There's so much more out there, and I promise you, and I'll argue with you, every single one of you, that there is more in your future than there is in your past. What once was cannot compare to what could be if you step out. Because when you step out into what is and what could be, is you're not going to find this anger, sadness, regret, shame, loneliness, isolation, and excuses. But what you will find is a calling, a belonging, a peace, and a love that comes with Christ. Because he's there in the hard times. He's there in the times you feel all alone. When you can't show your face, God is staring at you with immense love. Because he loves you so much. He loves you beyond measure. He loves you so much, he sent his son to die for you. What an amazing realization that we have to face. Because sometimes we don't want to accept that love. But I'm telling you, step into what is. Let go of all the junk and step into your calling with your arms wide open. You may feel like you've gone too far, that your calling is eliminated because of what you've done in your past, but you are wrong. Step out of what once was and step out of what could be and what should be, because God is calling you. He loves you. He's desperate for you. Let's pray and let's have a great week. Dear God, I come here today just thanking you for who you are, that you're so good to us. That I pray that we let go of our past, that we move into our calling and our life with you. We love you for Jesus on that cross. In Jesus' name, pray, amen. I'll never give you